That's the other piece, Sam. I already have the bolts. It's all right.
This one here?
Nope. It's the other one.
This one.
Yep. It's important you look at the diagrams.
And in your case, you painted it, so therefore there's paint in it.
I didn't paint it. You painted it.
Yeah, I painted it good, didn't I?
All right. Where's my
Welcome
glass?
to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. On this episode of Sam's Garage, Sam and the guys start installing the new suspension for the Jeep Wrangler. Sam and Doug complete the new front accessory drive for the Thunderbird. Sam installs a cam phaser lockout kit on an F-150 truck. And then Sam switches to a new manual transmission in his right-hand drive Supra drag car. Sam and the Lokar boys get to work on the new suspension for the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. The first step is to tear down the factory suspension to make room for all the new arms and brackets from TerraFlex. Some of the factory brackets will have to be removed so they can install the new heavy-duty brackets.
This is gonna be a really long week. We're about to remove the axles, install all of our TerraFlex suspensions along with the coilovers, and then we're still waiting for our new axles, right?
Yeah, I'm really glad you got that plasma cutter from Miller. That's gonna make the job a lot faster.
Absolutely. You ready, Travis?
This is a lot of parts.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, so we're gonna have to cut all the brackets off of the frame of the Jeep, and I got me a new Miller Spectrum 375. This is a portable plasma cutter, comes with the case and everything you need. It has a 110 and a 220 plug for your convenience. We've got this set up. We just wanna make sure we set it up correctly and it does a cut before we do it on the Jeep. It works. Now we're gonna do it on the Jeep. All right, so we are about halfway through with our deal. We've got the old brackets cut off. Travis right now is grinding the frame rail smooth so we can put the new TerraFlex brackets back on. And what you see here is we've got the lift off. We've got a tripod here because you don't want to use a dead man like this, because when you do, the Jeep may shift on a lift and that can become very dangerous. We also have a dead man on the front and rear because we're removing weight differently, front and rear. We don't want any mishaps to occur. So as soon as he gets this all grinded down and ready to go, we're gonna put the new TerraFlex black brackets back on, put the long arms in, put the front end back on, then we're gonna attack the suspension. Travis did such an awesome job prepping this Jeep by cutting off all the old brackets, getting all the metal off the frame. I feel bad for him, but we're good to go. We just took the exhaust back off because you guys pay attention. We had the exhaust in and there was a bolt that was going to be in the way of one of the arms holding the front end together. So we had to go back and take the exhaust back off. That's no problem. This is how you learn things, right?
Yeah. So we need to clean these brakes before we get the nice powder coat in there, but we're ready to put the arms and the cross member in. Then we can button it up.
And it's very important you guys clean any residue that's on the rotor or the pad because that's going to cause contamination. So when you clean the brakes off, just take a can of brake cleaner, clean off the surface of the pads, clean off the caliper, make sure you don't get the slides. If you have broken boots for your slides, you're going to dissolve the grease inside. It's going to cause binding. You don't want that. Now we're ready to reassemble.
Yeah.
You guys ready to pick up that front end?
Yeah.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Sam and Doug installed the new front accessory drive system from Vintage Air on the 57 Thunderbird. The kit includes a power steering pump which they'll use for the new power racket pinion. And as usual, they'll provide tips along the way to help with a smooth installation.
Doug and I are moving right along with our 57 Thunderbird project, and today what we're going to do is install the accessory drive kit that we got from Vintage Air. And Vintage Air, for the Coyotes, they make a kit that gives you power steering because from the factory, these cars all have electric steering. We're going with a power rack and pinion, so we're going to need a power steering pump.
When an aluminum block sits out, it oxidizes. When it oxidizes, then you get all that oxide in the inside of the threads.
It galls up.
And it galls up. And you know what? The last thing you want to do is gall it up. So just chase the threads. Make it easy.
So there's a little tab that's in the way of our AC bracket. We want to cut this little tab off. It's insignificant. We don't need it for any reason. That way we can continue with the installation of our AC bracket. This Vintage Air aluminum bracket is what's going to hold the compressor on. It's also going to hold a secondary bracket that houses the power steering pump and the tensioner. And now Doug is going to install it, and then we can go on with the secondary bracket, compressor, and power steering pump.
What we're going to need to do, we've got this bracket installed, but we're going to have to drill and tap into the block. So we've got a guide for the drill that will go in here. So we've got a guide as it slides in on both of the holes. That's going to guide the drill to go straight. Then we're going to have to make sure the depth of the drill only goes in 1 inch. And the way that that is done is we're going to take the drill, we're going to insert it, we're going to measure 1 inch out, and then we're going to put tape on the other side of the drill so the drill is only allowed to penetrate literally 1 inch. Then we're going to come back and we'll tap it. Real important when you're drilling like this that you peck. You go in a little bit, you pull the drill out. You go in, you pull the drill out. You got to peck, and by pecking you'll get a truly round hole that's easy to tap, and then the thread depth is going to be the correct depth. Okay, we're getting ready to tap the hole, and so what I've done right here is I've left the bracket in place. I wanted to make sure the tap would go in. This one we just put a little bit of grease, little anti-seize onto it. And then when you're tapping, I tap a little forward, then I come back. I want to continually break that chip. Now this is going to continue to go until we feel a bottom of the tap, and you'll actually feel the tap as it begins to bottom. I feel it's bottomed, tap's at the end. I'll just go ahead and pull her out now.
All right, we got the Vintage Air front accessory drive installed, which includes our power steering pump and our AC compressor. There are a couple more parts we need to complete the job, but we have everything in place that we need to mock up the cooling system and make sure we have plenty of room. From what it looks like, we do.
Yeah, you know, and guys, when you're doing this at home, make sure, once again, I keep saying this, mock it up, make sure things are going to fit. With aftermarket parts, periodically you have to make a little adjustment here or there, but that's real normal because it's hard to get everything exactly perfect. So if you mock it up and there's a little bit of interference, just go ahead and grind stuff away a little bit, make sure it's all fitting correctly, just take your time.
A couple inches here and there won't hurt anybody. Check it out, guys. We're here in the facility where they actually spray the product at NHOU, and we're going to be talking about the Boss Wax on this application. And that's pretty much the wax that gets hardened, correct?
Yeah, it gets semi-hard. It is a one-time standalone application. You actually have two options. You can use oil. It's equally as effective, but it's a personal preference. So the wax is actually going to go on. It's going to be a black, completely cure, dry to the touch. It doesn't attract dirt and dust type of a product that will stay on there for the life of the vehicle. And some people don't like it, you know, but I just wipe it off. I get excited about it.
Yeah, because it's working.
Well, it's doing that inside, so that means, you know, all the vulnerable areas of the vehicle are protected. It goes into the spot wells, the seams, the folds of the doors, and so it's kind of like the best of both of our products.
Absolutely. And you know what? They take a lot of care in applying the Boss Wax because it is a hardened substance and it's going to go on forever. So they go in and they take care of the plugs, the connectors, even the backing plates on the brakes. Anywhere where we're going to be working, they take care. They wrap the exhaust and make sure that the product doesn't get anywhere where they don't want it to get.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Sam gets ready to install a cam phaser lockout kit from Livernois Motorsports on a Ford F-150 truck. The kit is designed to repair worn-out cam phasers that will cause the engine to run rough and throw check engine lights. The kit also includes a reflash, so the engine will run correctly with the kit installed.
Now, we all know that the Ford F-150 is America's best-selling truck, has been for many years. They're very reliable. A lot of them have the 5.4-liter Triton engine in it, 3-valve with variable valve timing. Your Expeditions also have them, your Excursions will have them, and the Ford F-150s will have them. Now, there's a couple of inherent problems with these trucks. One is the chain guides are plastic, so if you run bad gas and you hear a lot of spark knock and you don't do anything about them, they're going to rattle. The chain will rattle the guides to death. The second biggest problem is that the variable valve timing, the cam phasers that controls the camshafts, fail. When they fail, they sound like a diesel at idle. Not only that, but in a lot of cases, the solenoids and the cam phasers will no longer work and they'll cause a misfire. When you have a misfire, when you have the engine running bad, they're going to aid in killing those chain guides even sooner. Even if you take off the timing cover and you see a bunch of broken chain guide, plastic pieces in there, no worries. Take the timing cover off, take the oil pan down, clean everything up, put a whole new timing set on it, install the Livernois lockout kit so you don't have that problem anymore, put the truck back together again, and you'll get a lot more life out of it, saving you thousands of dollars. Now that we've got the valve cover off, we're going to put marks on our cam gears. Take the wedge, you put it inside where the chain is, and you make sure you bang it in there with your screwdriver and a hammer, and you yank on it pretty good because you don't want this thing to move or come out while you're servicing the cam gear. If this comes out and you lose your timing, 10 hours to pull the whole thing off and put your timing back in place. So this is very important. When you're installing the wedge, you want the flat side to be towards the outside of the engine because that's where it is opposite the tensioner. You want to make sure this plastic wedge is on the chain itself, just like that, because it does have room on both sides of the chain to fall into the cavity. The chain is loose. We're going to mark the chain on the gear before we pull it off. We're going to put it in the vise. I've marked the bolt that I don't need to remove all the way out. I'm going to loosen the other 4 and remove them. And that one, I'm just going to loosen. Now, when you get these 4 bolts out, and then you're going to turn the plate, there's going to be a plunger with a spring that's going to want to pop out. So when you do this and you swing it to one side, be very careful so you do not lose that spring and plunger. We're going to move this over. Now we've got our 5 slots that our lockout aluminum piece is going to go into. But before I do that, I am going to drain the oil out of it. You're going to find the slot that this blue lockout kit fits in the tightest. That's loose, that's a little loose, that is nice and tight. check the others, just in case you find a tighter one. And this is my tightest one, I'm gonna put it there. We're gonna take our plunger and spring, put it back in its place. I'm gonna swing our plate over. I'm gonna put that in its hole, bring the plate over, plate's gonna hold it in place. I get to put my bolts back in. All right, so I got the driver's side done. Everything is good. I'm putting the air intake back on. I've cleaned off my cowl. I'm gonna put my sticker on. Final step is to program the vehicle, letting it know what we just did. This is why it's important to put that sticker on, because if you guys go to the dealership, sometimes they'll do an update without you knowing. They'll just update your car and say, hey, we did you a service and give it back to you, when really they cost you a bunch of money and headache. So put that sticker on. We're gonna program the vehicle, close the hood, put air back in the tires, and go test drive this thing.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Sam goes back to the archives and brings his right-hand drive Toyota Supra drag car to the garage. He's going to install a new manual transmission from American Powertrain. The new transmission is customizable to work with almost any type of application.
I got so many great memories in my car. This is my right-hand drive drag car, made 1,200 horsepower with 2 shots of nitrous. Famous 2JZ powered single turbo conversion. This is a 1JZ from Japan. Back in the day, in the mid-2000s, when Nopi NDRA series was going on, that's when we were racing. That's why there are so many trophies behind me. And I was good enough to win the championship my first year out. I want to do something different. It's been 14 years later. I'm going to take out the 2JZ. I installed an LS engine. I'm going to turbocharge it, but I'm going to go back to a manual. So I went to American Powertrain. They got a very good kit, because this is a very popular deal going on the last 10 years in the drifting community. They're taking the Nissans and the imports and putting LS engines in them and manual transmissions from American Powertrain. The kit that they provide gives you a lot of flexibility when it comes to the shifter location. So you're able to put the shifter back in the factory location where the original one was, making the console and everything fit like it did factory. I'm going to first start by putting in the bell housing, then the clutch kit, then fitting the transmission. What makes American Powertrain's kit so cool is the flexibility of their shifter locations. This shifter here that comes with the Tremec is actually able to be completely reversed, and it moves that shifter forward about 3 inches. Then they give you all these extra keyways to be able to offset your shifter anywhere you want in your tunnel. Now for us import guys, we don't have the room for this round base of the shifter. So they give you one. This is much smaller, compact. It's going to fit in the tunnels easier. You can also flip this one. Don't forget to put RTV sealant around this once you finalize where you're going to put it. The best way to do this before you install the transmission, because it's heavy and it's a real bear to put it in and out, take a tape measure, go from the surface of the bell housing on the car over to where the hole is on the tunnel. Take that measurement, come over here from the face of the transmission, and wherever that number is basically where you're going to put the center shaft of the shifter. That way, you're done, you know where it's going to go. You can go ahead and RTV it in place, remove your shifter right here, put the transmission in, then decide which offset you need to be able to make your Lokar shifter perfect in the tunnel. It feels so good for this to be a stick shift again. I converted it to a Turbo 400 to be consistent when drag racing. Now all I gotta do is call Inland Empire Driveline for a drive shaft to go with the yoke that American Powertrain sent me. Now this sits perfect. This is an import with a Tremec T56 Magnum in it, and the shifters goes right in the middle. That was American Powertrain's goal. For you guys who are putting LS engines in your imports, you need to go with American Powertrain in their shifter locations because it gives you so much flexibility. Now you saw that the kit comes with a Lokar shifter, and the Tremec is designed to be angled over to the left side if you were in the left-hand position. Me being in a right-hand drive car, I'm perfectly straight up and down, but it's a perfect candidate for a Lokar axis shift. That way I can take the shifter, angle it more towards me and down, putting it right there perfect where I want it. And the boot will still be centered per the OEM console. If you guys have an import and you're doing a domestic swap and you want to go manual, you got to check out American Powertrain because they're going to make it very simple for you to get your shifter exactly in the OEM position.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Sam's Garage. The new suspension is almost completed for Kevin's Jeep. Sam and Doug got the front accessory drive installed on the Coyote engine. Sam fixed a cam phaser issue on a Ford F-150. And Sam's Toyota Supra received a new manual transmission.